Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Yes, it is Monday, and I'll address that in a second. And welcome back to this lovely session of Mixed Views Podcast. My name is Marissa, and you will notice there is not a McKenna this week, so I'm just taking this one head on solo to make sure we keep the content turning out. Consistency is key in this game here, and if I fall off 1 inch, I will be behind 3 feet. So first things first, we have a little housekeeping to do. Primarily, we do have an Instagram. It is alive, and you are welcome to check it out at any time. It is at mixed.views.podcast. So we post on there announcements about the show, anything important or upcoming. If there's a delay in editing, which there was this past week, then I'll post to let you know what the heck is going on. But we also on stories post every week our something good and something bad question boxes. So that gives you, the listener, a chance to write in and be a participant in the following show. So if you write in this Wednesday on the post, whatever you write in will be included anonymously in next week's post. So yeah, that's it. Just really follow the Instagram and keep up with us, and I'll keep up with you. And the next housekeeping tidbit, oh, this is a big boy. So I just referenced kind of a little that processing editing was late this week. That is totally my fault, and I'm taking accountability and saying sorry to you all for being a week behind on releasing the episode. So last week's episode just came out today, which is so late that I don't even know what's going on, but that's okay. You're just going to have 2 gems back to back this week, and then I'll try to get back up to date and back on time moving forward. I'll keep you as updated as possible on the Instagram, again, at mixed.views.podcast. So just stay tuned and be on the lookout, and I am sorry for that. Hopefully it did not impact your week too terribly, and hopefully no one has to write it in next week as there's something bad that Mixed Views Podcast went off schedule. So that's 1 and 2. Number 1, following the Instagram. Number 2, apologies for the delays in processing. I'm just moving slow, honestly. So the final, I need to issue an apology on what I said about Griselda last week. I was talking about how the Netflix show I felt like left a lot of holes in the story, and there was I just had more questions than I did answers, and that Chris and I were going to watch the Hulu documentary Cocaine Godmother after to kind of get the other side of the story. We watched that. It was a freaking Lifetime movie, so it was about as corny as one can imagine, and Netflix did their thing with that show. Like, they really showed up and showed out for the people. I enjoyed the Netflix show 100 times over what I enjoyed from the Hulu documentary. And they both covered really kind of similar information. The Hulu doc that I watched did a little more like before Griselda came to Miami. We got some time before that. And a little more understanding, but emphasis on a little. Like, it didn't really clear anything up. So at Netflix, I just want you to know I am sorry for what I said last week on the Griselda show. It is the superior in my opinion. And if there's another documentary that I missed that really goes all in depth about her entire life, referring back to point 1, message me on the Instagram at mixed.views.podcast and let me know, because I'm confused. I feel like I missed something, and yeah, I don't know, but good job, Netflix. So now, without further ado, we can hop into our something good, something bad, and something happening for this week's episode. Had some good submissions come in, and I'm very excited about that. Thank you all for writing in. You are so appreciated, way more than you ever know, and I could not make this boat float without you all paddling the way. So thank you. So we will get into something good. I'll share mine first and then read off what you all wrote in. My something good is that alumni game practice is underway. We are headed towards the 2nd annual Springfield High School softball alumni game, which is to be held April 6th at Springfield High School at 6 p.m. I am super duper excited about that. We finally got the first annual on and popping last year, and now for it to be coming back and we're doing a second installment, that is just fantastic. I hope this is something that when I'm like 40 years old and, you know, I have a kid or something and I've moved out of state, or no matter what is going on in life, I hope I'm like coming back, because every year we're doing this alumni game and getting the squad together and really just making the most out of it. It's really rewarding, really fun. And yeah, so stay tuned for more updates on how that goes. We have a while to get there, but just very, very, very exciting stuff going on at the SHS. Hopefully we do get a few more people showing up to practices because they've been a little slim lately, but this is my something good, not my something bad, so we'll leave it off on a good note. Just happy it's here. Now we will get into the something goods that were submitted to the Instagram this week. So first we have got free Starbies at work. Few things make the day better than Starbies, and just about nothing makes the day better than when it's free. You did say at work, so I'm hoping they got like what you wanted, and it wasn't like the 2 big old boxes of coffee and then the like bagel box. You know, I'm thinking of Panera Bread, and they have the big jug things of boxed coffee that a lot of jobs will get when they cater. So hopefully you got to like submit your order, and then someone went to get it, and that's how it worked. Either way though, free for the win. Next we have home renovations are being worked on. My little home renovator in me is like, what are you doing? I need more info. I need to know the schedule, the plan, the dream that you want, the vibe you're going for. I need to know it all. I'm so interested, but with the info I have, I'm just going to say that is fantastic. To keep progress moving forward is something that we just have to, hopefully you can hear that. I don't know. It was a round of applause though, because wow, making a schedule and sticking to it is something. But then if specifically if you're DIYing these home projects, like you don't have a contractor that picks out the tile and picks out or even leads you in the direction of, okay, you need tile, you need this fixture, you need this. So if you're doing it all on your own with no contractor, then more power to you, because the decision fatigue goes crazy around here, specifically with me. And that's just fantastic. Keep on keeping on. And then one day you're going to sit back on that front porch and say, dang, we really finished it all. So that is awesome. Great work. Thank you for inspiring me to get back into my home renovations myself. Next we have Reesa Teesa, I think that's how you say the name, dropped Who the Fuck Did I Marry and gave me 9 hours of content to enjoy. Oh my gosh. We're going to touch on that more later in our Something Happening segment. So if you're interested in Reesa Teesa and her 9 hours of Who the Fuck Did I Marry content, stay tuned until the end, because wow, it's crazy. Shout out to her for the content you got to enjoy. 9 hours of content on 1 week. Like, I know my screen time's going crazy this week because I watched the full thing, and it's on TikTok, not a podcast where you can just push play and then lock your phone. Like, my phone was actively on. We were scrolling. We were at 1.5x speed. We were getting through that 9 hours of content. But to say it was 9 full hours of content to enjoy is facts. It was enjoyable from start to finish. It was indeed 9 hours. It was crazy. Props to you for getting through all 9 hours. And if you haven't listened to it yet, maybe take the opportunity to stop now and go ahead and listen to all 9 hours of that, and then come back for the Something Happening that we're going to do later. Okay. Next, we have carpooling to work. This was going to be my something good, but I saw this person wrote it in, so I didn't have to submit it as my something good because I would get to talk about it anyway. Love that. So this past week, I'm just going to drop a name, whatever, who cares? If you haven't guessed yet, me and Chris carpooled to work. But this past week, he picked up a shift, and then I had my monthly in-office day with my team. So crazy enough, like I work, I guess I'll say 99% remote now, besides the 1 day a month I have to go into office. But my work location is down the street from his work location, literally within 1 mile of each other. So when he picked up the day, I was like, you want to carpool? Like, it doesn't really make sense to take 2 cars from Springfield to Nashville and like fight that traffic separately when we could just complain about it in the car together. So that's exactly what we did. We carpooled to work. We went to lunch together. It was honestly like that of a fairy tale. It was freaking fantastic, and I enjoyed it oh so much, and I hope every monthly office day he has to work so that we can carpool again, because it was really fun. It's like I don't think I've ever ridden with anyone to work, unless it was like back when I was too young to drive and I was getting dropped off. But it's never been like, okay, we're both going to work, but we're driving in the same car. And it was really cool. I really, really enjoyed it, and I assume you did too, since you wrote it in. So that is what we had this week for something good. really appreciate the additional responses we got this week. Again, keep them coming. The more responses we have, the more bulky and fun these episodes will be. So just keep that in mind. Now, moving forward into our something bad segment. So let's get the negativo out of the way for this week. My something bad is actually hilarious. And it's more so like it's not terrible, the outcome of this, but it's just kind of, I don't know, it's wild. So I'll get into it. I used to go to Suntan City. I used to love laying in a tanning bed, getting burnt to a crisp, being a tan person, because in the winter I get this weird shade of like an olivey green white and I look sick, not gonna lie. I've grown to enjoy my skin and be more confident as who I am, outside of the summer glow and all that. So way to go me, woohoo. But all to say, I used to tan and I was very religious with my tanning and it was important to me, and it was like a mental health self-care, because there's no feeling like laying in that bed and you're down to your skeevies, maybe less than that sometimes, just laying there, but you're a perfect level of warm. The fan is humming, you smell the lotions, and you just like doze off and then come back and boom, you're tan. Like, it's fantastic. All to say, I've had a membership for a really, really, really long time, since I was in college, and I was locked in at a really good rate because in Bowling Green, the college town, they had like student memberships. So it was a lot cheaper to have a tanning membership, I guess, because they think you're a broke college student, but you really need to burn your skin cells. I don't know. Nonetheless, the last time I went to Suntan City was probably, the last time I worked in the area of a Suntan City was December 2019. So December 2019 was the last time I went to a Suntan City and physically received service. Knowing that that was going to be my last time, I chose to freeze my membership back then, 2019. And they charge you $5 a month, but you stay locked in at your rate. And then the $5 a month, once you reactivate your membership, you can use that towards upgrades. It'll just kind of stay on your account. So it's not money wasted. So I was like, cool, $5 a month, let's go. Fast forward to February 2024, and your girl has been paying that $5 a month ever since. Isn't that crazy? The best part about this is that it was on my budget. I had $5 a month for Suntan City budgeted. I knew I was wasting that $5 a month, but I was just like, $5. Let's keep on going, whatever, $5. So I finally stopped in when I had my office day last week and carpooled to work. And I said, hi, I'm going to cancel my membership. And then they were like, okay, yada, 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 whatever the heck happened. But they let me know I had $275 on that account. So $275 of my hard-earned dollars that I could have put towards who knows what in the last 4 years is on that Suntan City account. And now I have to buy stuff at Suntan City. So the something bad in this is, check your subscription, folks. Make sure if there's one you're not using, like, don't be lazy like me. Just go, get it canceled. Do whatever you got to do to get the thing not taking your money, because if not, you'll end up 4 years down the road, all this money you have to spend, which is like kind of a great problem, because girl math, now I have $275 free dollars to spend on products that I probably otherwise would not. But I've got to venture to imagine and say with great confidence that I would have rather had the money every month. So just be more mindful. I do believe there's a subscription service, Rocket Money, where they'll kind of monitor your spending, and if there's subscriptions that you may have forgotten about, or it'll highlight your subscription so you can run through that and say, oh, I'm not using this anymore. Oh, I haven't used this since 2019, XYZ. And then it will, in a way, do kind of like you're reconciling your subscription, so you make sure you're only paying for the things you use. This is not sponsored, by the way, but Rocket Money, if you'd like to work with me, hit me up on Instagram at mix.views.podcast. So yeah, I did get to go on a shopping spree at the Suntan City, and I spent $150 and still have, $125 left that I have to spend. So that's fun. I'm just worried that I'm going to forget about the money, and then it's going to be out there, and Suntan City is going to claim that for whatever, their own revenue. When in reality, that's my hard-earned money that I was wasting to Suntan City for 4 years. Be smarter, do better, learn from my mistakes. So next, I will now get into the something bads that you all wrote in for this week. So first I had to suspend an employee of mine. Woof. I've, to this point, not found myself in a position where I have employees under me. So I do not know what that's like, but I hate confrontation so much that I have like secondhand stress. Like, if you know me, you know I have this thing where if I get stressed, I start to sweat, and I think my glands are opening at just reading that submission. I really hope that went well. I hope the employee didn't do anything too horrible where it's like a snowball of issues that you have to deal with even after they're gone. And hopefully you get to find someone to fill their position, or like the work doesn't come onto you. So hopefully you find someone to take their spot and it didn't hurt any like personal relationships you may have built with this employee. But that sucks. At least you're the boss though. HBIC getting to make the calls in here. Next, we have work, feeling so unmotivated towards it. I know that's a pretty shared situation. Like I've been having conversations recently with people who are feeling unmotivated at work, and everybody knows, if you know me, you know I'd be unmotivated at work. It's like, what, I'm going to come do the same thing Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 for the rest of my life? Why should I have any gung-ho to get up and do it this Monday as opposed to tomorrow or last Friday, you know? The repetition of it all is just really hard, but gotta pay them bills. So I understand what you're feeling and going through. I'm so sorry. I don't know really how to make it any better. I have started kind of setting little challenges for myself. Like, for instance, right now I'm working on financial folders, and what that is a series of reconciliations that I have to do every single month to match X number to X number. That's a very high level explanation and good enough. So right now in financial folders, I've been setting like daily goals for myself. Like, if you get X amount done, then you can go do this, or like go start a load of laundry, or, you know, whatever may come up after that. So setting little goals like that has kind of been helping me, or been helping to keep me more focused in the day, as opposed to just totally wandering off into no man's land. Because let's face it, if I get 7 things done today and 7 things done tomorrow, or 14 done today and 0 done tomorrow, it all really comes out in the wash, you know? So I hope you find some motivation, and yeah, I hope work gets better. Maybe you'll go through like a really slow season or something upcoming, so you have time to reflect, refresh, and feel motivated moving forward. Next, we have energy been on low battery mode. Any tips for staying up and active all day? Energy on low battery mode is tough. I think a big part of this, you know, me and this person did talk about it this weekend, but I think the seasons is not helping with this at all. So like I've told friends, once it hits 5 o'clock and the sun starts going down, I feel like that's my time that I go down. Like, I've been awake all day while the sun's up. Now the sun's down, we can go to bed and we can be lazy. That's not really how life works. You know, if you're going to, for instance, this podcast, I have work, normal hours throughout the week, but then I have to find time to edit this podcast, record this podcast, make the social media posts. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that I can either be even more unmotivated during the day, or I can do it after work. But right now, when 5 o'clock hits and the sun goes down and I'm done for the day, like, I'm not doing anything else. So there's only so much time in the day. And right now our productive time is cut back even more, which just makes it hard. We're all in the trenches. But any tips for staying up and active all day? I could not recommend a standing desk and walking pad anymore. Also, just taking breaks and going to get some like sunshine outside, like on a nice day. If you, I don't know, like if you work 8 to 5, so maybe you work 8 to 10, and then at 10:30 or whatever time, you go do a lap or go take a walk, just to get moving and doing something different instead of sitting there like at your desk, watching your show, listening to another podcast, like just being so stationary and inactive. I think it helps to just get up and move. What else do I think of? Maybe if you are one of those people that you don't want to get up and move, but you want to just feel intrinsically motivated. Hopefully I didn't say that wrong. Listen to a podcast that's like not self-helpy, but you know, like we're teetering onto the Jay Shetty of the world. So listen to one that makes you feel motivated. Watch a YouTube video on something that you're trying to learn how to do, or like just something that kind of motivates you, so you're paying attention. And mental stimulation, that's what we're going for here, even if it's not physically active, being mentally stimulated. I don't know, slam a Red Bull once an hour, keep the coffee uptake on high. Those are really bad recommendations, but ones that I recommend nonetheless, because we got to do what we got to do. until we reach our riches and then have our financial freedom. I do hope it gets better. Again, like the work situation, I hope it gets better. And if you find anything that's working for you, update us and let us know so we can all have like shared success in trying to be more motivated at work and up and active all day. Both of those are real tough right now. Next, we have traffic. A constant issue if you live in a metropolitan area. But what's crazy is I don't live in a metropolitan area. I live in BFE, I feel, and still have to deal with traffic because all of the opportunity in this area is in the metropolitan area where the traffic is because there's too many people and too few roads. This is a problem we're never going to fix. I used to hear all the time, my grandparents would say they work on I-65 and Nashville traffic 10 years behind. So they're like 10 years in arrear with the updates that they do. And I never felt that really until I started having to drive to Nashville on the regular, because literally they're not projecting how many people will be here in 10 years when they do work. They're saying, okay, right now or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, how many people do we have traveling this highway? We have 40 traveling. Okay, let's make 2 lanes. But no, it's like, actually, present day, we have 40,000 people on this road, on this 2-lane highway at once that has a stop sign every 10 feet and a stoplight every 15 feet. I don't know. Maybe, I don't really know much about Nashville politics, but I think Mayor John Cooper, if he is still in office, if that's even his correct title, really needs to do some reevaluation. Maybe send out a survey and ask us how we feel about it, because I am sure so few people would say that the roads are good. Next, we have no cell service, solar flare ? Or is there a conspiracy at hand? Raise your hand if you were personally victimized by the AT&T outage this week, because my hand is up. My hand is high in the air. I was on SOS mode for days, and had I not been carpooling to work, well, I wouldn't have been lost because I would have known the way to take to get to work because I've driven there before. But like, God forbid I was going somewhere new because my phone went on SOS mode mid-drive. Like in the middle of it, we're going down the road and then boom, I have no service anymore until mid-morning. It was crazy. I don't really understand how any of this happened really. I've kind of heard a lot and I don't know what the final verdict is, but I'm sure there's a conspiracy at hand, honestly. Or maybe whatever the solar flare was caused it, but I don't know. We made it through the solar eclipse years ago and my phone didn't go out. Why is my phone going out today? Or this day? That's my question. If you have AT&T though, I did see that they're offering $5 credits towards your bill. $5 for half a day of outage, I guess, is comparable. I guess we'll take it. We'll take any dollar you're going to give me back. But we don't know if it's going to actually hit our bill yet. So we're waiting to see if it hits on the next bill run. Hopefully they didn't finesse us. But yeah, that was pretty freaking annoying as a cell phone user. So I did decide to go ahead and look up some information on this just to see if there's a final verdict out there on what caused the outage. So, okay. February 23rd, I'm reading from an article in USA Today. And the title, What Caused the AT&T Outage? Company's initial review say it wasn't a cyber attack. That's initial review, so they still got some looking to do. But many AT&T customers were left without cell service, as we know. Some of it lasted until roughly 3 p.m., AT&T and federal organizations are investigating the cause of the disruption, assessing the possibility of a cyber attack. AT&T has since completed an initial review, though it says it will continue to look into the issue to prevent further occurrences. The initial review by the company found the disruption was caused by an application and execution of an incorrect process used as we were expanding our network, or simply put, a technical error. They're continuing to assess the matter, though. So, that's just whack. I don't know. More than 70,000 customers were reporting outages between 8 and 9 a.m. because an update failed and they didn't do it correctly? Question mark? Question mark, question mark, question mark? That's what I'm taking away from this. In summary, we the people still don't know, but AT&T says it wasn't a cyber attack, but we the people also know that we can be lied to. So moving on. The last submission we have for something bad, which, by the way, a few more people had something to say about something bad. which I'm not mad about. If you have something bad to say and nothing good, write it in. You can do either or. You can do both. You must do one or the other. So the last one, which is not really something bad, but we're going to read it anyway. I haven't heard your skincare routine. So I feel like a fraud to get on here and talk about my skincare routine because it's really ever evolving and changing. So up until about 2 weeks ago, at nighttime, I would wash my face, apply a Paula's Choice if I had a pimple, apply a pimple patch if I had a pimple, and then I had regular moisturizer, or if I wasn't doing a regular moisturizer, I would use a B5 product, like a deep moisturizing. I did have a retinol that I was using once a week at the time, but that has since changed. My morning was to wash my face, typically with water, and then I would ice roll sometimes, or if I didn't ice roll, I would just go straight in with product, which is a SPF moisturizer combo. Now, after I went and had my facial in February, I talked to the esthetician quite a bit, and she recommended some products to me and some different things to do to help combat the acne that I just can't stop experiencing. So I previously tried to have a really simple skincare routine, and I was doing skin cycling where my skincare routine was kind of different every day. So now I've added in more products onto that base routine, and I've kind of upped the amount that I'm using the active ingredients. So I'm going to use the retinol like not every other day, but I'll use every 3 days, I guess. And then I've added in a niacinamide toner, which I'm going to use at night. I'm going to use hyaluronic acid in the morning to just give some extra moisture to the skin. And then, I did add in a benzoyl peroxide cleanser for every other PM night that I'm experiencing acne on my face. So I hope that those items will help me out, but I don't know. Stay tuned and we'll see. But if you wish to share yours, please write it in. If you have any recommendations for the skincare, please write it in and we will chit chat about it. But that's my fugly rando skin tempt. I don't want to call it skincare because if you saw my skin sometimes you would understand it is not cared for. But that is our something good and something bad that we have for today. Again, thank you all so much for writing in. There were a few more submissions this week and I just love seeing it grow a little by little and getting more to talk about. So now we can go ahead and hop into our something happening, which this week is Reesa Teesa's 52-part series on TikTok. I have an article pulled up from the Washington Post, which kind of summarizes it that we will read from here, and then I'll add in my little tidbits as I see fit. If you hear clicking from the mouse, it's because I have this problem. I cannot just have a mouse in my hand and a screen up. I literally have to be clicking and highlighting the text on the screen. I don't know what's wrong with me. Probably some form of ADHD manifesting itself. Nonetheless, how the Who the Fuck Did I Marry series took over TikTok. Reesa Teesa's story of marrying and divorcing a man she called a pathological liar has had users on the edge of their seats. Reesa Teesa posted nearly 8 hours of video on TikTok in her quest to tell the story of a messy marriage and divorce she claimed to have had with a pathological liar. Millions of views on each of her 50 videos suggest people are listening from start to finish. Indeed, I did. Start to finish. On a platform known for dances and second-long dopamine rushes, Teesa's story shows people can pay attention after all. No, they can't because you can watch it in 1.5 speed. She was talking too slow and a lot of people were sad about that. So our attention span is still crap. A growing number of viewers have committed to watching the 50-part series, a saga in which she recounters her whirlwind relationship with Legion. Legion is the nickname that she gave to her ex-husband, her pathological liar ex-husband. She referred to him as Legion. Teesa says she describes a love so riddled with red flags you would have thought I was colorblind because I ignored all of that. Facts. She did ignore. She tells the story without any frills, so she's very nitty-gritty, very critical of herself, very open and honest that this might make me look bad, and if it does, that's okay because this is the reality of how it happened. It doesn't sound like from the story that she sugarcoated at all. She was really honest, which I'm sure listeners like myself, honestly, appreciated and found it to be more relatable and better because if not, and you're lying, it makes you question, was he a pathological liar? Was this true that she said? So the honesty, thank you. The story she goes through is telling how they met, started dating, got engaged, got married, got divorced, have since not spoken to each other and have no contact. So she met Legion in March 2020. She fell hard for him and his desire to provide for her financially. So it seemed like she was kind of on the, I don't think she was poor, but she wasn't just like super financially stable. She was making ends meet for herself, but she was a single woman and working and trying to keep a living and probably have a little fun here and there. So money just wasn't frivolous. So he told her during their first phone conversation that he was a former football player and divorced regional manager who recently moved to Georgia from California. They had mutual goals of getting married, starting a family, and owning a house, which she agreed with. And these were kind of like her ticks that really sold her on the relationship. So within months, they started this in COVID, so they were going to have to lock down. They decided to lock down at her apartment because he was living in a studio at the time and she had much more space. Then found out she was pregnant. So a lot of this, she was torn between, like, she was a very religious person, so living with him before they were married was something that nagged at her. Getting pregnant before they were married was something that nagged at her. So there's all these forces that were kind of, with her religious background, making them come together, and with his promises of the future and the present and everything that he was going to do and doing for them, it was like, okay, why not? I found my person. So they started looking at homes so they could move in together. She did not want to have a baby in the current place she was living and did not want to raise a baby in that town. So they were living in other parts of Georgia. He was submitting all cash offers on homes that were well out of her range, but he apparently had the funds for it. He had pre-approval on homes like up to $800,000 or something. And he was indeed looking at it. He said he had multiple bank accounts. He just said all this stuff to her to make her feel like everything was hunky-dory, when indeed it was not. Fast forward, so they looked at houses. They never got a house because something would come up every single time. You know, he couldn't get the proof of funds together, didn't send the information to the realtor. He was not working with this realtor anymore. He was working with another realtor. This house that they had fallen in love with and thought they were going to buy closed. So they obviously couldn't get any more because someone else had it. So they went through this cycle for a while. Then she did indeed miscarry the child. So they did not end up with a baby, which is kind of terrible, but it was a blessing in disguise, honestly, because now she has no ties to this person. They got married in January 2021, and then he just kept lying. If you haven't listened to this, you have to. I can't sit here and recount every single thing that happened that was a lie because there's so many and too many to keep up with. But his job was a lie. His money was a lie. Where he's from was a lie. His family was a lie. The people he talked to every day were a lie. I don't think his name was a lie, but it may have been. His previous relationships were a lie. His family members were a lie. The death of his family members that he said were lies. The death of nieces and nephews and like everything was literally a lie. So now the series has since ended. So if you've listened to it, you've listened to it. If not, go ahead and get you a listen. It is crazy. It's like 7 movies. I mean, cut it on the TV and you literally will have like a Lifetime movie for real. So as it turns out, I guess the summary of the story, she found the lies, got the divorce from him, now has nothing to do with him, doesn't have his kid. They never shared any bank accounts. So she stayed kind of clean and unscathed besides the mental toll that this experience took on her. And I can only imagine, like, to find out, like, after a year and a half plus 2 years, that the person that you've been sleeping beside, the person you've been telling your days about, the person you've been thinking has your best interests in mind is like totally lying and like getting off on you, getting excited about things that they're going to lie about. That has got to tear you down. That's just terrible. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, that you just have to question the motives of every single person around you. That's really honestly tragic. So, the man's identity was leaked, and I have looked him up since, but I would recommend, if you've watched the whole thing, to go ahead and look him up, Mr. Legion. But, since, like, he promised her all this stuff, he promised her to go to London to get her this car, to do all this good stuff, and obviously fell short of it. So now, since she has shared all this story. I know some organization or maybe Hilton or whoever is taking her to London. So she's going to get her London trip. I'm sure at some point BMW will reach out and get her a car. Like, the power of social media has kind of worked in her favor because the exposure that this has brought and the viralness of this, like everyone being interested in her story and so pro Reesa Teesa and so con Legion, is really hopefully building her up and giving her some support in a time that she needs it most. So it's crazy. This series is crazy. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. There are so many memes that have come out behind it. And it's like literally people who have been this happily married, trusting their spouse for years. They're like making videos like me asking for my husband's proof of funds, like after he said we were going to go to dinner or something like that. Because now it's just like, what is a lie and what is not? But yeah, I don't know. That is that on that. That is Reesa Teesa and her 52-part Who the Fuck Did I Marry series. And to answer the question, we don't know who she married. She's found out some stuff, but she will never know who she married because the person's a pathological liar. And that's crazy, scary, disgusting. Disgustado, if you will. Reesa, if you want to come on the pod, just let me know. We can talk ish about Legion. We can talk about your trip to London. We can talk about whatever you want. Honestly, we can talk about life in Georgia. We'll see if that happens. So that is the something good, something bad, and something happening for this week's episode of Mixed Views Podcast. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Follow the Instagram if you haven't heard it a million times so far. Here's one more time for you. Follow the Instagram at mixed.views.podcast to submit your something good, something bad. I am thinking about making a something happening submission box also. So then if there's something you all heard of that I maybe didn't, or something that I wouldn't have picked for the episode, maybe we can kind of rattle off different things that are happening. Obviously, I wouldn't have too much feedback prepped, but if it's something that I know anything about, then we can give a little banter on it. So maybe we'll add in the third question box of something happening here soon. Hopefully, before we start adding, I'll be able to get the episodes back on track. Just had one go live today, which was last week's, and then this one will go live. I'll have it up by, I don't know, don't hold me to a day, people, because that's too much pressure, but I'll have it up ASAP Rocky. I think that is definitely all for today, though, so hopefully McKenna or maybe I'll have a guest will be on for the next episode. If not, I'll see you back on the mic, not same time next week, but thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye.